In this tutorial, we'll be going over using the image frame element. So the image frame element is your basic image tool. So kind of just going back to the template that we were working on in the previous tutorial about page management, if you click on one of these columns and click on the element button, it'll bring us a pop-up of the different elements that you can add to your page. So there's a lot of different elements. I'm only going to be going over a few of them, the most important ones specifically. And so I'll be skipping some of these, but you can always play with those or ask us questions if you have any questions about those different elements. But what I'll be going over today is the image carousel and the image frame. So if you go down to the image carousel and the image frame, those are your major image tools for putting on your page. So if you click on image frame, for example, it will give you the option to upload an image. So right here we have the upload image button, and if we click on that, we're going to either get a selection of the photos that are already in our media library, which are photos that were already uploaded to the website, or we can actually upload files from our computer. So if I go to the upload files area, you can actually select a file, and that will allow you to go into your computer and select any image that you want. For now, I'll just use an image from the media library that's already been added to the website. So if I click on this photo here, you'll see some of the details on the right hand side. It says attachment details. We have the name of the image itself, when the image was uploaded to the website, the size of the image, and also the dimensions of the image. So you can see here this is 1000 by 402. You can do some basic image editing if you click on the edit image button. So if you click on edit image, it'll bring you into these image options. You can do some basic image options like cropping. So you can drag here and then click on this crop button and it'll crop to that selected area. You can also flip your image around or mirror it, and that kind of allows you to do some basic editing that you might have forgotten before you uploaded it to the website. You can also give it new dimensions on the right hand side. So if you wanted to scale the image down, if you felt like it was too large, for example, you could put 800 into the dimension area and it will automatically scale down that height to match its aspect ratio. So you can make those changes, and then anytime that you've made the changes, come over here and just make sure that you hit the save button, and that will save that image. But for now, I'll just use the basic image that was set up already. You have some other options down here too. We have the title of the image, which is important for search engine optimization. We have the caption, which is some text that would show up underneath the image if we were to enter a caption. We have some alt text and a description, which is also used for search engine optimization. You can pretty much give it the same information as the title down here. And the description is actually a pop-up, so that if somebody hovers over the image, it'll kind of bring a little text pop-up that'll show them what the image is about. So you can fill that area in if you so choose. And then finally, underneath that, we have the size. So the nice thing about WordPress is it generates some of the sizes for you. So you can see here's the full-size image where it's 1000 by 402. But we also have some other image choices that it automatically created for us. So we have medium, which is 300 by 121, or thumbnail, which is always 150 by 150, which will create just a little square, which is just kind of a preview of the image. So for now, I'm just going to enter a medium-sized image because 1000 pixels is pretty large for the column that I'm entering it into. So if I choose the medium size and then I click insert into page, we're going to see that image show up into our image frame element. So right now we have a preview of how the image is going to look. Underneath that, we have some other options. The frame style type, we can give it a glow, or we can give it a drop shadow on the image, which is just some basic effects that you can add to the image. There's also a hover type, so you can zoom in. The image will zoom in if you hover over it, or zoom out, or lift up the image slightly. We can give it border size, border radius, which is just kind of rounding the image. So the higher the border radius value, then the more round the image will be. Some alignment, so we can either have it follow the text flow, or we can give it some left, right, or center alignment. So I'll just select center for that because I want it centered within the column. And then image lightbox. Image lightbox is very useful because it basically shows a larger version of the image when a user clicks on the image. And so most of the time I will be using image Lightbox, so I'll click yes here. And it's going to ask us for a Lightbox image, which is the larger version that you want to pop up. So if I go back to the upload image area, you can see that our same image is selected. But now instead of selecting that medium size that I displayed on the page, I'm actually going to select full size and insert that into the Lightbox area. And then what will happen is if a user clicks on this image, then this larger version of it will pop up onto their screen. And then basically we'd have this element visibility, whether you want it showing up on desktops, tablets, or mobile devices, or all three. And then we have some animation options also if we go over to the top tab. And so if you wanted this image to bounce in or fade, or just some basic animation types, you can do those too. So after you've done all those options, make sure that you hit the save button or you're going to lose your work. And you'll see that there's a visual representation of that image frame now. So within our column, we now have this image frame. And if we wanted to add more images within this column, we would simply have to click on the element button here, and we can just select another image frame. And we can do that as many times as we want. Or you can do that in other columns also. So if you're kind of creating like a gallery or something, we could have like a bunch of different columns and you could have images in there. Very useful for portfolios and things like that. There's also another element that I wanted to show you though, which is the image carousel. It works in a very similar way. Basically it just scrolls images across the screen. And so if I select the image carousel here, we're going to see a couple of different options. First of all, we can do a bulk image upload, which is really nice. So you can select a bunch of different images all at the same time, whether it's from your computer, or you can actually select multiple images by holding Control and clicking on the images in the media library. So I can insert those in here, and you'll see on the left-hand side we now have those 3 images added. We can do a fixed height and width for the picture size, or it can auto adjust based on the size of the image that you selected. What kind of hover effect that we want on those images as they display. Autoplay, because this is a carousel and it's scrolling across the screen, that the autoplay will mean that it plays right when the page loads and the animation will just keep happening. If you don't have autoplay on, there will be some controls where the user can scroll to more images. The maximum columns is the maximum number of images that you want to display at one time. So for example, we could do 4 and it will display 4 images, and then when the user scrolls it will show another 4 images. Column spacing is the spacing in between the images. The amount of items to scroll if you want that animation to stop eventually. Navigation controls, so that will be like the arrow keys that allows you to scroll through the images. Mouse scroll, which is like a drag control with your mouse. Border, whether you want a border on the carousel or not. And then that image lightbox that we talked about in the image frame element. We can actually select yes here, and it will automatically make all of those images clickable to their larger size, or the largest size available. On the left-hand side here, we can actually remove any of the images we want by clicking on the delete item. We can also drag and drop the images if you want to change the order within the carousel. And then there's also image editing options. If you click on the little pencil icon, which will just show you a preview of the image. You can add a link if you like to on the image, whether you want the link to open on a new page or open in the same page, and then just some search engine text that can be viewed. That's about it for the image carousel and the image frame. And see my other tutorials for some of the other elements, including the text block element. And also I'll be making a tutorial on managing the widgets and headers and footers.